Hey everyone, I'm Matty,
I'm Patty,
and this is the Cozy Cast.
and today we're talking about a little game called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4 Turtles in Time for the Super
One of the
Nintendo.
greats.
One of the classics. I think everybody watching this probably knows the game. If they don't know the game, they know the franchise and they love the franchise. So I'm going to start with a little bit of history for the Turtles. And basically, they started out in the comic books, 1984. Do you have any experience with the comic books at all?
I personally don't. I've never been a comic book person, but I mean, I know I had friends that definitely had the comics, and from what memory serves, is they really kept to like the heart of the comics and the cartoons within the games. They really
Yeah.
tried to stick to the the artistic flavor of it.
Yeah, well, with that said, I think they did actually clean things up a little bit because if I'm not mistaken, the original comics, everybody, for example, had like the same colors, and I think the cartoon might have actually introduced the four separate colors for them.
Oh, was the original comic book in like grayscale black and white then?
It might have been, but so moving on, we'll touch back on that in a second because the first NES game came out in 1989. And if you look at the
Oh,
cover
okay.
of the NES game, I'll try to put up a picture of it on the video, but all of them have red masks on the original
Oh,
NES
okay.
TMNT one. Yeah, so I think that didn't actually start till probably like the arcade games even. I
Does
don't know
make
all the
sense.
history there. Yeah, same here. I was never a comic book guy. I actually didn't even know anybody that had TMNT comics. I knew a few people with comics in general, but yeah, not a lot of experience with the comics for myself. I'll tell you what I do have experience with is the animated series. Now that came out in 1987,
That was
and
a very popular series for
oh
sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean TMNT back in the day when we were kids, like this was a Goliath of a property. It was just the show, the toys, the games.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was like the younger generation's Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
did actually have a little aspect of collect them all, even with the TMNT. If you saw all the action figures, they
Oh, that's
literally
true.
they literally would just make new characters just so they can make a new action figure for it. Uh,
Oh man, now we're talking about action figures. I remember I had that Michelangelo that you could pull a ripcord and it would spin on its
oh yeah,
shell.
okay,
I don't
okay,
know if you
okay.
remember that or not, but that was fantastic.
I'm not sure if I do, like vaguely, but yeah, yeah, yeah. As far as the toys that I had for TMNT, I know I had like a morphing Splinter. He would turn into like human Splinter and like
Oh
rat
yeah,
Splinter.
I remember that.
Yeah, there was a series of those. Uh, Actually, well, funny enough, so the new game that came out recently, the Shredder's Revenge, is a DLC that came out for it where they added a character that was like a samurai bunny. I actually had the action figure of that like samurai bunny. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It'll probably come to me later on in the episode. Uh, but yeah, I actually didn't have a lot of TMNT toys. I'm almost trying to think if I even had any of the actual turtles at this point. I must have had one of them at least. Uh,
I know you had the Splinter, but I don't know
yeah,
about any of the turtles.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. I know at one point I must have had one of the turtles or something, um, but yeah, I think we knew some. I knew somebody that had like the Technodrome and like a few other ones. I knew somebody that had like the submarine. The submarine was real cool, and the
Didn't the
van.
twins have the Technodrome?
So it was them or one of our other friends in kind of the group.
Maybe. Yeah, makes
Um,
sense.
but yeah, yeah, I think the toys pretty much should get all their own episode almost. I think we'll just review every action figure probably. But yeah, moving
Oh,
on with the
jeez.
games. Yeah, so the arcade game came out in '89 for the arcade, and then 1990 for the NES. And that's really, I think, when the Turtles games really started, or at least that era of them, the kind of fighting, beat 'em up era.
Oh yeah, they had a whole slew of competitors too that just never
Oh yeah.
never popped off as well as the Turtles did. So
Yeah. There were some decent ones, but I think the Turtles was like really a standout one, especially with the property and just the quality of the game in general, right? So for myself, I think that's kind of where I started with the arcade game for the NES, and actually I have a bit of a story too. So I can't remember exactly what year it was, 1990 or 91 maybe, but I wanted the arcade game for Christmas for the NES, and obviously, what did I unpack? It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 for the NES.
oh,
Yeah, you know the one.
I do.
Yeah.
You mean the one where the swimming level was like damn near impossible to beat?
That's the one.
Ah,
Yeah.
didn't that whole game only give you like 3 lives to beat?
So I think so, but you can use each turtle. Like you can switch turtles like through the game too. Like,
Right,
anytime
that's
you want.
right. You could.
Yeah.
You could.
So at least like if you damage one of them, you can kind of switch to the other one. I don't know how you replenish their health or anything. I was never big on that first game. So basically, to finish off that story, we did actually end up exchanging the game. So I did have the arcade game for NES.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and then really it wasn't long after Turtles in Time came out in 1991, and then 92 for the Super Nintendo. So we're talking a matter of like 1 to 2 years.
Oh, yeah, and then I've been playing on the Super Nintendo since it came out, basically. Fantastic game. I mean, it's still relevant today.
Oh yeah, well they recently came out with like the Turtles package with like I don't know 10 different games on it or something like that. That being one of them. It has all the NES, Super Nintendo. I think the arcade versions are on there, and I think it has the Game Boy games too.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's like a new package that just a year ago. I'm gonna say something like that. So that's where we're at with the chronology of the video games. So how did you? There's a few others that came out after. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna get those out of the way because they're nothing big. So TMNT 3 actually came out technically around the same time, 1991 for the NES was TMNT 3. It was called like the Manhattan Project. Same idea, just a beat 'em up game. I think I rented it a couple times or something, but I didn't really play much of it. There was Hyperstone Heist. That was for the Genesis. That was like the equivalent of Turtles in Time, but it's not really equivalent. It was clearly, Nintendo pulled their strings or something like that, and they got the good version while Genesis got the scraps. It was still a good game. Some mutual friends of ours had that game, actually. I did play that.
Yeah, it was typical Nintendo shadiness going on. As per usual.
For sure, yeah, and I was a NES kid and then a Genesis kid. I didn't actually have a Super Nintendo, so
30 years later, and they're still pulling that crap. But anyways.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a little harder for them now, but yeah. So then the fighting game came out in 1993, and that was for like Genesis, Super Nintendo, and I think there was actually a version that came out for the NES like a year after that too. And then just a fun fact: it skipped the PS1 era. Apparently, there are no PlayStation 1 Turtles games.
Like at all?
Yeah. So from what I saw, I didn't do I didn't do crazy research here, but from just what I saw, like a list of kind of all of them. So there was like a few random ones for like DOS and some other computers and some handheld games like I mentioned before. There was some Game Boy games as well. We're not really touching on those. But yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that it just skipped the PlayStation 1 era. I am and I'm not, because it did kind of wane off a little bit after, and then it came back for the PS2 era.
Yeah.
And then just touch real quick on the movies was the other kind of big thing there. That was 1990.
Wait, are you talking about the live action movies?
The live action movies, yeah.
Oh my goodness! I had a VHS copy of the first one.
Yeah. Oh. I'm sure both of us have watched that copy several times in the past.
Jeez, that was the one with Vanilla Ice, right?
Yeah. And I'm trying to think. He might have been in the second one, but it was definitely he was in one of those.
Yeah. I think he was in the second one.
Yeah.
And I remember the production team of that movie. They didn't put any blood at all in that movie because they wanted the PG rating, and it was just. I don't know, fun fact that I learned later on. But as a kid, you're watching that and going, oh, this is so awesome. They're kicking so much butt. And this is in the time that a lot of other like ninja-style movies for kids came out, like The Three Ninjas And
well, Three
there
Ninjas was also kind of kiddie too, though. But yeah, it's on the same line, though. I'm sure one inspired the
right.
other.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's not. Three Ninjas weren't as like backed like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were, but I mean, it was all kind of in the same era of like ninja style, karate style fighting movies that were
well, and you had like
aimed
even like
at
blood,
kids.
and you had like Bloodsport, for example, to go on a more adult serious kind of thing. So yeah, it was kind of like the era for it to some degree.
For sure. Even like the one with they rebooted it, Cobra Kai. Now they call it.
Yeah.
Wow,
Karate Kid.
Yeah, I mean all those Karate Kids.
No, for sure. For sure.
In that area.
But and what was nice about the TMNT movies, well, other than the third one, that was kind of an oddball, but at least talking the first two, like you said, they were definitely for kids. I think like the big like swear in it was Raphael just screaming "damn," at the world. But still, they made it like pretty serious, pretty gritty. I think like the feel of it was pretty much right on as far as like a live action movie.
Oh, I totally agree. It was they did a fantastic balance to make a children's movie feel like you can watch it as an adult and not feel like you're watching a kid's movie.
Yeah, exactly right. Whereas the cartoon was definitely more playful, colorful, and kind of fun. So
now, did they use James Avery in the live action to do Shredder's voice?
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea who that is.
Okay. James Avery, the father from Fresh Prince.
Oh okay. So he was in the cartoon.
Yes, so he was Shredder.
I'm gonna say he was not Shredder in the movies for sure because it was just like some other guy.
Oh, maybe. I just thought because Shredder had the mask on majority of the time, they could have voiced over like they did with James Earl Jones and Star Wars.
They could have, but I think I think you did see quite a bit of just him without the mask too, though. I could be mistaken, but
you know what? I think you're right because they painted him like a businessman. I can't remember it exactly.
Kind of, but that'll be for another episode again. Yeah, we're gonna do probably the trilogy at some point.
We're way off the tracks here from the game.
Yeah, for sure. So
get those crazy turtles.
Yeah. All right. Well, tonight we dine on turtle soup. So.
Oh, that was the best line ever. Tonight we dine on turtle soup.
Yeah. So anyway, so moving on to the actual game that we're talking about, TMNT 4. So we're going to focus on the Super Nintendo edition. Like I said, there was an arcade version. In ways, actually, the Super Nintendo was a little bit better. Again, I think we'll touch on that as we go when we get there. But essentially, I guess I want to ask you: do you know when you started with the Turtles, or like what kind of? Do you have any big memories of the Turtles?
You mean in the game or just general?
Let's go with the game. Where did you?
Well, the game was obviously with you and Bert, our third friend, who unfortunately wanted to be on the show today, but was unavailable due to, I believe it was either work or
he couldn't make it.
He didn't really specify.
Yeah, we don't talk about him around here anymore.
We try not
because of that. But yeah, so that's what I was going to say. He had a copy of the game because he was our Super Nintendo buddy. I believe both of us had a Genesis around that time.
Yeah, we had the Genesis with Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. Well, I think I got it probably because it was cheaper. But anyway, though. So, yeah, he had the copy. He actually had a Japanese copy. And I remember he had to, like, break off, like, a tab either in the system or on the game itself to get it working. But it worked perfectly fine on the American console. So yeah, that's really my only experience with the game for the most part, up until finding it later on.
Emulators.
Whether it's through or through the talk about the emulators around here, but like the new collection that came out, for example, or something like that.
Until those new franchises came out, your only option was either to go source an old. An original copy. An original one, and it's like they were hard to come by, and the ones you could come by were super expensive, or you had to use an emulator.
Yeah, prices skyrocketed. End of the day, the original devs aren't getting anything off of buying the used copy anyway, so
exactly.
I think we're good there.
Yeah, but I probably a few years ago now bought myself the new SNES Mini, and I put it on the game. I don't know if it was included in the original 21 games of the SNES.
Yeah,
But
I almost. It seems like it wouldn't be just because it's licensed, but
yeah, unlikely. But I put it on there
yeah.
because I'm boss.
Well, all right,
And
all right. So
don't do that, kids. It's not okay.
It was already on the system. All right?
It was I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know these things. I don't remember.
Yeah. All right, fine. All right, a friend of ours took the system, went to international waters, came back, and the game was there. We don't know how it happened.
International waters, these things happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I've been playing it actually most recently with my wife, and she quite enjoyed it too. So the game is still relevant today.
Oh yeah. And yeah, just for this video, I actually played it literally just last night. And again, I'll touch on the kind of experience with that. And obviously, like I said, I played it over the years here and there. Sometimes if me and you, and some other people get together,
that
our
Bert
childhood
guy,
friends
which is
will,
almost never available.
Yeah. But if we get together, we'll toss it on. Or we played that new Shredder's Revenge last time.
Oh yeah, the new version of it. Yeah, it's the.
Oh yeah.
Basically a sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we'll kind of touch on that a little bit at the end of the show, and most likely, that's a separate episode unto itself. I think. So yeah, I guess let's talk the characters. So obviously in the game, so it's a 2-player game. You can play 2 at once. The arcade game actually had a 4-player version. Most of them were probably 2, but you can actually play 4 players. So you can have all 4 turtles on the on the play field. You want to go over the characters?
Sure. I mean, when I played, it was usually as a kid. Bert would always play Leo, and myself, I would always play Mikey because I'm a Mikey, as you could tell.
Oh, right? For sure.
Boys and girls, I'm Mikey. That's what's up. I like pizza, and I use nunchucks.
And you're a party dude.
And I'm a party guy. That's right.
Yeah. Me personally, I was Raphael, and I think probably fits my personality the most. Then the other character, Donatello. So you actually had maybe you can go over this. You actually had an interesting kind of idea you presented last time we spoke. Well, not last time, but at the time we spoke, where you talked about the meaning of their weapons. I don't know if you remember that. Or
yes, I do remember that. So yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, sure, I heard about this, and I don't remember where I saw it. It might have been a TikTok theory or one of those.
Yeah. Regardless, whether it's true or not, it's an interesting.
It's definitely interesting. So the way that their Master Splinter, gave them their weapons is essentially counter to their personalities, so that they would find balance. And what specifically I'm talking about here is like I'll go through each one. Leonardo, actually I'll save Leo for last because it's probably the most interesting one. Raphael, with his temper, right, and how aggressive he was, he gave the weapon that was the most defensive of weapons, which are the scythes. The scythes are canonically and like historically a extremely defensive weapon. So he was trying to
close quarters, right? Yeah, so you're not doing a lot of damage with those, probably.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you're trying to teach that control of the aggressiveness with a defensive style weapon. Then when you look at Donatello, and he was super techy, super intricate, super complex, he gave him a stick. Something so simple. And the reason for that, at least this is the theory that goes behind it, was Splinter did that because he wanted to teach Donatello that even though he has all this technology, this big brain, this complex brain, you need to have the creativity to succeed. And creativity comes from things that are more simple. Not only, but it would force Donatello to keep his mind thinking creatively with something so simple as a stick.
But like I said, counter to his personality of big complicated tech. Even in the opening, there's that massive machine, and it's just like a little espresso maker or something, and the thing blows up. That was on the opening.
Yeah, that was a great little scene.
So to contrast, complicated machinery versus just a simple stick.
Exactly. And then for Mikey's a wild child and really relaxed and super simple, and a lot of people see him like that, like a simpleton. He's kind of the opposite of Donatello, where he's like doesn't really think too much. So Master Splinter gave him the most complicated weapon, so that it would teach him that he would have to learn new things with complicated tools. The nunchucks are easily the most complicated tool that you can use in a kind of a fighting situation.
Well, especially to use properly too, right? So,
right, to have that discipline. So essentially, it serves two purposes: one, to make him more complex, but two, to instill that discipline in learning such a complex tool.
Yeah, now before you move on to Leo, real quick. So Michelangelo, I believe, in at least the cartoons, they switched him. I think they took away his nunchucks at one point, and they switched them to like a grappling hook kind of thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe, and I don't remember that.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and I think that might have been either like I think I almost heard like kids were hurting themselves with nunchucks or whatever, because they were like, nunchucks aren't like, there's no sharp blades, nothing like that. Like, I think I had a pair of nunchucks when I was a kid, just like some cheap toy ones. So I think kids might have been like hurting themselves with it.
Always the children. They never listen when you say don't do this at home.
Yeah. And don't I don't want to blame kids here all of a sudden here, whatever. But I think that the weapon was actually changed at one point too. So,
well, if it was changed to a grappling hook, that's probably even worse, because now you're throwing a big piece of metal on a rope.
yeah, and then too, it's like even like a harder weapon to use, I guess. I don't know, but I'll look into that further, actually, just out of curiosity.
That's funny.
But please, and then go on with Leo. Yeah.
When it comes to Leo, so Leo was kind of the most, I guess you could call him like the leadership, the pacifist.
Yeah, definitely.
He was trying to always use his words. He was always trying to calm Raph down, and he gave him the sword. Now, the katana.
Two swords.
And what that he was trying to instill in Leonardo, and also notice this: the katana, the swords, was the only weapon meant for killing, for taking a life, and he entrusted that level of lethality to the leader of the turtles, the most level-headed one, but to teach him that there's sometimes you do have to go to that level, and the only way to do so is to do it responsibly and intelligently. But it taught him, or at least the theory behind it is, it taught him that he can't always be a pacifist.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was super like eye-opening. The first time I heard it, I don't know where I heard it, but when I heard it the first time, I was like, mind blown.
Oh yeah, no, definitely an interesting concept, which is why I brought it up here. So, I guess just touch on the other characters. We'll go through the enemies. I have a list of all the levels and enemies that we face, so we'll touch on them when we go through there. But essentially, Splinter is kind of your leader. In this case, you only see him in some cutscenes for the most part. Yeah. And then April O'Neil, also I think in a couple cutscenes, and she's the one who'll show up and tell you to get moving.
Yeah, get moving.
Just to go to the next screen. So I think we can get to the game, unless you have anything else in Turtles general.
No. Yeah, we can get right into the game now.
I think we're okay there. Like I said, we'll go into further detail on other episodes in the future, possibly, with whether it's the movies, the other games, whatever.
Yeah. So, fun fact about the game that I just want to touch on really quickly. I don't know too much about this, but speedrunners, when they play this game, they do what's called the double Raphael trick. So they usually play the speedrunning game in pairs, and they both pick Raphael. Apparently, Raphael's the fastest character. I never knew this until watching this YouTube essentially documentary about the speedrunners for this show, or for this game. So so I thought that was interesting. Now I've stopped playing Mikey, and I like to play Raph because because he's fast. He's actually quite fast.
For sure. And then just try to use some speedrun strats every once in a while.
Well, for me, it's like if you're playing with two people, I don't mind picking one of the other characters because
Oh, yeah.
you have backup. But when you're playing by yourself, you need that little extra speed to be able to not be swarmed by them. Because oh man, so frustrating in the game. You get locked up by one of the foot, and then you get beat up, and then it's like a vicious cycle. You can't break out of it. Oh.
Yeah. So and that was usually my character actually. So that's funny. With that said, when I did my playthrough, I just did Leonardo just to do kind of a plain basic run through. I didn't actually do the other characters. I'll probably maybe get some clips of the other characters though, just for the hell of it. And we'll put some videos in the background. And what do you think of the game in general? Like the presentation, the graphics, the sound? Because basically, I think it's all perfect. I think that's good as you're gonna get.
It's as good as they're ever gonna make it. Well, for back then, it was easily a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the game holds up today, even today.
Well, I think so, 'cause
standards. Like look at the beat 'em up games that are coming out today. Like essentially the sequel, the Shredder in Time, which is basically the sequel to Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got the same mechanics. It's got some cool extra things, but like at the end of the day.
They refined it. They made better controls, specific moves, things like that. But end of the day, the graphics are definitely a lot better, but the same style though. You know what I mean?
For sure. And we're talking about 30 years of advancement in technology, and they still basically use the Turtles in Time game as the foundation. That tells you how good the game is.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right? Absolutely. But that's the thing. So the graphics were basically perfect for the most part. The sound was basically perfect. I think you mentioned when we were kind of discussing this. I think it is like the same actors from the TV shows.
Well, they either hired the actors or they probably just took it from the show directly.
Yeah, I know for a fact that they got a lot of people back for that new game, but probably that TMNT4 probably has, like I said, whether it's clips of them or the actual people. So that's all perfect. Like the enemies are all there. As far as the backgrounds and the levels, doesn't feel like there's really any distinct, specific Turtles level other than probably the Technodrome, right? Otherwise, it's kind of a cityscape kind of thing or whatever. We'll get into some of the other levels. So there's obviously some levels throughout time here, but and then what do you think about the controls? Because when I was playing this, I actually got to the part with Shredder's POV, where it was his point of view. And
that was groundbreaking, where you had to throw the enemies at the screen to cause damage. I never saw a game do that before, and frankly, I don't know if I've seen that since.
To be fair, I'm not sure how many games we played like that since, but
that's true.
For sure, but that was a feature that was added to the Super Nintendo version. I don't think that was in the arcade.
Yeah,
it was
fair enough.
different in the arcade. Yeah,
but that was a fantastic little. And you know what? It was so good because you didn't know that's what you had to do. You kind of just had to.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when I got to that part, I knew that's what you had to do. I remember, whether seeing videos or back in the day when we were playing. But I haven't actually played this game for quite a while. Probably at least a few years. And quite honest, I'm not sure if I ever knew how to throw people into the screen. So I actually had to look it up. And even when I looked it up, I couldn't really figure out how to throw people in the screen. Now I did, eventually. So what I was doing is... Right, because the new game has very specific move sets. So, you actually press, down in this button, and it'll always do that move, whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think this game has that, but it's not as clear. Certainly, there's no tutorial. I don't think anything the game tells you.
Yeah, there definitely is no tutorial.
How to do the moves. Yeah.
On the
Unless
mini
maybe there is somewhere, but sorry,
maybe on the mini that I played it on recently, probably maybe a couple weeks, maybe a week ago. The way I was able to make the move happen was you hit an enemy and so that he hunches over, and then a slight move forward and you hit him again, and that usually grabs him and throws him into the screen.
So that's exactly what I ended up doing, yeah. So I hit him when it stuns him, like I said, when he's hunched over, and then I think what you're supposed to do is press the button towards him, the direction towards him, and then hold the punch button. And then I was actually getting pretty consistently doing it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's the only... sorry?
So I wanted to just touch on something I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
So the reason why the game was so good, and like how the new game so many years later took everything from it, the fact that I could just when you showed me the new game, I could just pick up a controller. You gave me zero tutorial information, and I just played it. Now the special moves and stuff like that, I had to either figure it out or look them up. But 99% of the controls were just like the old game. I didn't have to learn anything.
And realistically, you can button mash through that game if you really want to.
Yeah.
If you want to optimize it, you do the moves and whatever. But like you said, like a new person can come in, just button mash and have fun with it realistically.
Exactly.
Like so my wife never easy to get into, but hard to master kind of thing.
Sure. So my wife never played any of those before, and she was like, kill for kill on the enemy counter there. Like, obviously, I was a little bit better, but not by a heck of a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a hard game to play, but it's a fun game to play.
Yeah.
So,
and that was probably my only gripe with the game is that really just that one move. Because even like the other moves, you can kind of there's like different jumps. It depends on when you hit the kick button. And it gives you like a different air kick kind of thing. You press the two buttons at once to do like a special move.
Which I never liked the special move because it takes your health from you.
It does, yeah. It's good if there's like a pizza nearby. Maybe do the special move a couple times, get your pizza and replenish your health, and you're good to go. But I don't like that too much.
I think that was the only thing of the game that I didn't like.
Well, and like I said, for me, the main gripe is I don't even feel like I needed the special moves really.
Agreed.
So to me, it wasn't a big thing. But the only gripe I would say is what I just mentioned is I don't know how to throw characters into the into the screen basically, and that's something that's like you're gonna get hard locked on the game if you don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? So
I remember trying to beat that level several times and I couldn't figure it out until boom, I accidentally threw a guy at the screen. I'm like, oh, well, that did something. But
then for sure. But even then, it's like, well, how do I do that now? Now you got to like figure it out because I did accidentally throw a few guys, right? Too. So
yeah, for sure.
So even like naturally, I would have known that. Okay, that's the thing that you can do. But yeah, like I said, that's really the only thing. Otherwise, controls are they're pretty tight. You don't feel like there's lag or anything like that. So it all looks pretty good. There's simple control. I think there's only 2 buttons on the Super Nintendo version. There's quite a bit more buttons on the new one, but. It's just jump and kick, and that's basically all you have in direction.
Man, I still can't get that out of my mind. Who's it? New York City, 3 a.m. Oh, no, it's Big Apple.
I think it was Big Apple, 3 a.m.
3 a.m. Heard that a million times, let me tell you.
And that's a meme these days, too. Like, I've heard that many different places. All right, so I think we can get into the game itself. So I kind of want to go just break down like level by level. I do have, I mentioned earlier, I have a couple of fun facts actually that I ran into, and a couple funny things I saw in the game, things like that. So
sure, like I think I should address why I'm wearing a duck hat.
Yeah, I mean I didn't even notice, but go on.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll get into that at the end of the episode. I'll explain everything and why. Just be patient.
Well, we'll also introduce this. Yeah, we'll also introduce this channel a little bit, kind of when we end, our future plan, I guess.
We'll
not that we have any specific plan, but I think we're on the same page more or less.
Yeah.
I made some notes as I was playing. Like I said, I played actually through the whole game. Now, in all fairness, just full disclosure, I played the game. I didn't change any difficulty settings, so I was just playing on normal. And I played till the Technodrome level. The first Technodrome level. There's 2 of them. And then the Technodrome level kind of beat me up pretty good, so that's when I flipped on the Game Genie codes, just so I can get footage and whatever of the later parts of the game, without spending a whole lot of time on it. But overall, I think I did actually, for not playing these games too often, I think I actually did like pretty good. If I tried a few games, I think I probably could get through the game, at least on normal, without a Game Genie. even to actually, I'll get to it in the thing later when we get to that level. But there's a few enemies that like once you get the rhythm down, their routine, then it's actually surprisingly easy. And there was one that really surprised me. So like I said, I'll mention that when we get there. Well, like you already said, Big Apple, 3 a.m. So this level takes place on based on a bridge, and there's like New York in the background, pretty much. Do you have any comments on this level? What are your thoughts? There's not too much to it.
Yeah, there's not too much to it. You have Krang's body shooting eye lasers at you.
So yeah, you had Giant Krang there. Yeah, Giant Krang shooting.
Giant Krang shooting at you.
Yeah.
You had the balls dropping, like wrecking balls dropping.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then Baxter Stockman at the end.
Baxter Stockman is the first boss, yeah. And that's another thing too. The bosses are all pretty, on the nose, pretty accurate. I think.
Yeah. Baxter Stockman was surprisingly, if you never ever played the game before, he was a tough boss. But then the pattern, once you knew it.
So so Baxter has like he's flying. He's got the arm stretchy thing or whatever. So for like a new player, for like being the first level, he is actually a little on the hard side, I would say. But overall, yeah, not too much to say. I think mainly I just want to touch on that Giant Krang. I think Krang is hilarious. So the next level we Alley Cat Blues. It's called. Not just in the city.
Blues.
Yeah. So now we're in the morning. So now it actually tells you the time. Now we're in the morning, and then Metalhead is the enemy. Again, I don't have too much. Sorry, go on.
Is Metalhead, is that the robotic turtle?
It's basically like a robotic version of the turtles. Yeah.
Yeah, I hated that guy because he was kind of erratic, but again, once you know the patterns, you're fine.
He's one of the surprisingly harder ones for like an earlier boss.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. And then they had that sewer hole in the middle of the map. Yeah. It's like you get knocked into it by accident, and you're just like, there goes a life.
Yeah, for sure. And then and I was gonna say too, I think both of the first levels actually had this where they always had hazards on the level that you can hit something like. So they have like these like traffic cones on the first level, possibly something else. When Foot Soldiers popped out of the sewer, they threw the cover. And knocked the cover
manhole,
back at him.
The manhole cover, yeah.
Well, it's a personal cover, but yeah. And then
and then when they hit the fire hydrants.
Yeah, fire hydrants was another
one. Good.
One thing I didn't see in this that was in the arcade game, the original arcade game, was the original had like certain cars would drive out at you.
Really?
In the old one, yeah.
That sounds NES one. So cool.
Yeah, exactly. They would just be you would always know which ones they are because they look a little different. You know what I mean? Than the other background cars. But yeah, so I didn't notice that in this game. I don't think I had anything like that.
No, I don't remember cars coming out at you.
The original did, but yeah, this one did not. Not a big thing, obviously, but just an interesting thing, I thought. But yeah, so again, not too much. You're just in an alley in a typical city in New York.
Yeah.
It's a city scenery, I should say. So yeah, next level, sewer surfing.
Oh, I hated that one. My toe.
So
the mines always get me.
So I can't remember. I think this was one of them, and there's another one later on. I think you don't even have to kill anybody in this one. I think you can just like go right through.
Well, you have to be careful for the spikes that come down.
Oh yeah. There's hazards for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean,
what I didn't understand about this one, though, I'll be honest with you. All the other levels, your pizza is a pizza. But in this level, they had question marks on it. I think there's,
yeah.
But there's still pizzas.
I'm not sure. Because there was another level, too, that had question marks for, like, your pizza pickups.
Odd.
That we'll get into, like, a later level, but... And I think this is the one. It might have been the other one that I'm thinking of, but I thought... We'll see in the footage after, but I thought you could just, like, pretty much go, like, right through the level without actually having to, like, fight anybody almost in this. Whereas normally the game would... What's that?
I don't recall. I do remember where those aliens jump out of the water.
So the pizza monsters. The pizza monsters.
Pizza monsters.
So, like I said, this one might be the one, because normally the game will, like, stop you and then you have to beat up everybody, and then it'll let you kind of keep going.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, nothing special here. Like you said, the pizza monsters are the main kind of specialty here. And do you remember the boss on this one?
I don't remember who it was,
one.
but the guy on a boat was shooting missiles and dropping mines.
Yeah, so, and like, it's kind of an obvious one, but it was the Rat King. Is the
Right, the Rat King.
Yeah. He actually also had this actually I think got easier because as long as you're like in between the missiles and you can just keep hitting them.
Yes.
And then you just jump out of the way.
The problem though with that one is maybe it's my SNES or like the game or something, but I felt like I'm in between the freaking rockets, but they keep hitting me sometimes. Every once in a while.
Yeah, you gotta get it right. Like it's a certain spot or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm not sure what the trick is, but
definitely on the easier side.
When I played it, and like I said, I haven't played it in a while, and I just played it like one playthrough here, basically, and that one actually was a bit easier for me. Like I said, I didn't die at all, I don't think, until I got to the Technodrome, though, in my first playthrough, so I actually did pretty decent. So then the next level is the Technodrome. Let's kick
Classic level. I hated the little robot dinosaurs that would latch onto your hand and you would go.
Oh, the Mousers.
Mousers. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
They were the worst.
At least they're kind of weak though. So,
but they're weak. But
I don't
they stun you.
They do, yeah. If they get on you, I was actually when I played it through, they actually weren't. They got on me a few times, but it actually wasn't that bad. I think the ones I disliked more was those like goofy looking ones on like one wheel that have like that electric like rope or line or whatever that they zap you with.
Oh, you mean like the original R2D2, or sorry, the copycat R2D2?
Yeah, it's kind of.
Or like what is the rolling ball in Star Wars robot? What's his name?
The rolling ball.
No, that wasn't R2D2. It was.
Oh yeah, those. I know what you're talking about. In one of the newer movies, right?
In the newer movies.
Yeah.
That's basically.
I can't remember the name, but yeah.
Those things stunned you. Like
those,
they shot the.
And they had a range too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were fast.
Yeah. Like I said, they didn't give me actually that much trouble, but as a kid, it was. I don't like them. I still don't, but. They used to give me more trouble back in the day than.
Yeah, they give you like PTSD flashbacks when you.
A little bit, yeah. That's the thing. Every time I get a zap. But yeah, so then do you remember the bosses from the Technodrome, first Technodrome? And actually, I was surprised how early the Technodrome is in this. Now, there's a reason for it. But, which
so the
we'll
first
get into.
Technodrome. The first boss on that level is technically Shredder from POV, where you have to throw the guys into his face, and then after that you go up the elevator.
So you know what? No, I think it might be the other way around. I think first you do the bosses, and then you take the obligatory elevator level.
Right.
And
sorry,
that's
you're
how
right.
I have it.
So
that's how I have it here. Yeah.
Before the elevator is Bebop and Rocksteady.
No. It's budget brand Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh.
Toka and Razor.
That's right. It's the turtle.
From Turtles too.
He's like a snapping turtle or something. But anyways, he freezes you, which is super annoying.
Yeah, and the other one's like some kind of like wolf or something like that.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. It's those two. They were hard. If you play,
they were. Plus, there's two of them, like 1v2 if you're playing a single player.
Yeah, if you're playing single player, it's brutal. You gotta. The best way I figured it out is you just gotta focus on one at a time.
Yeah.
Pro tip, kids: one at a time.
One at a time. Yeah. So then the funny thing about pretty much all beat 'em up games ever is next is the obligatory elevator level. So there always has to be an elevator level.
Yeah, but this one wasn't too painful.
No, they're never painful in my opinion. But it's just funny how like every game has like. Because like there's always a giant, room-sized elevator in the real world. You know what I mean? So obviously there's the turtles. They're in the Technodrome. It makes sense, but there's like other games where it just takes place just in a regular city. Like I think Streets of Rage might have had it, where it's literally just regular people well, tough people, whatever, regular city, and like there's still an elevator level, somewhere of like a room-sized elevator where people fight. So
Always
I always
funny.
thought that was funny. Yeah. Now, one thing I wanted to mention with this Technodrome level is somehow they have like T-1000 foot soldiers in this level. So like sometimes they have like these like funny ways to spawn in. So I think in that level too, that one or maybe the next Technodrome, where they like teleport in. That still kind of makes sense. I can still wrap my head around that, but I never knew these things were like also T-1000s. And I mean, they literally just like form out of the ground and then turn into foot soldiers. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah. But I guess you gotta get creative with how they come in. So that was it.
Why not, right?
No, exactly. So yeah, and then that POV shredder fight we already talked about a little bit. But yeah, the whole trick was that you have an unlimited amount of foot soldiers coming in, and yeah, you got to throw them against the screen to fight Shredder in that.
And he had those pincers coming after you too.
Yeah. And yeah, there was a throwback to that in the new game too. There was a specific guy that was in the game. You couldn't fight him when he was on the playfield, but then he went into POV, and that's when you throw him. That was, I think, Chrome Dome or something like that. That was in the new game. Throwback to this particular level, and again, this was, I believe, new for the Super Nintendo. This was not in the arcade version. That's kind of one of the special things they added. So, any other comments on the Technodrome in this?
No, this one was pretty good. I mean, it's one of the more iconic stages because you're like, I just started playing and I'm already in the Technodrome.
Yeah, and like I said, it's pretty quick for this game. And one we should say too, they have pretty cool, just quick cutscenes. There was one at the beginning that's like them stealing the Statue of Liberty, and then there's a cutscene before the Technodrome where you see the Technodrome and the turtles kind of jumping into it.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So next level. Do you remember what the next level is? Where do we move on from here?
Once you go up the elevator, is that where you get lost in time the first time?
Yeah, that's where
you go to
Uncle
Dino.
Uncle Shredder gets upset and sends you right back in time.
Yeah, Uncle Phil.
Yeah.
Uncle Phil gets angry and he sends you back in time.
So the name of the level was Prehistoric Turtlesaurus.
Oh, yeah.
And then it showed the date. So this is one of my fun facts here. It showed a date. Now, with that said, on my notes, I actually might have written it down wrong. I think I have an extra 0. Because I think what it said is 250 million years BC. Or, BC, 250 million years. And do you know what's interesting about 250 million years?
What's that?
Okay, so, because I looked this up because I was curious what these, if there's a reference or something like that I'm not aware of. So, the first website I came upon was the 250 million year old history of the turtle. So presumably 250 million years ago was when turtles first appeared.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So it's almost like, I'm assuming I mistyped this because it might be like an extra 0, but I don't think it is. I think it's 250 million.
Yeah, it would be million. It wouldn't be.
That would make sense.
2.5 billion.
And it's dinosaur times. And then looking at further, I actually wanted to look up what dinosaurs they actually had in there and see if it made sense with archaeological finds or whatever. But yeah,
they give them a pass on that.
Oh, sure. No, it's just more like fun facts kind of thing. But I thought that was interesting. That's the history of the turtle apparently.
Well, there goes the 10 out of 10 rating, ladies and gentlemen. It's only a 9.5 because they didn't make the prehistoric level accurate enough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, they might have. I didn't.
We don't know.
I didn't look up the dinosaurs. So, but it's funny though how that's Shredder went back in time to try to destroy the turtle species altogether. It almost feels like.
Yeah.
Because essentially he sent back his minions because he sent back his foot soldiers and minions and all that, right? So,
so in that level you had the whatever they called the raptors that ran across the screen. You had the pterodactyls that dropped bombs. You had,
and I think they drop foot soldiers too.
Yeah, they drop foot soldiers.
I think they might drop some.
There was I believe there were stalactites that fell from the sky, in the cave portion.
So that I actually don't remember from my playthrough. But
And
possibly.
then
Well, yeah, we'll confirm that in.
yeah, and then you had the Rockmen. Oh, the ones that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
charged you.
The Rock Soldiers. Yeah, I'm not a fan
Rock
of those
Soldiers.
guys, and they always had like
No.
fancy guns and whatever.
Yeah, and I think like one
Yeah.
or two of them get like a bazooka or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah. They
yeah,
always
those
yeah,
they were always hard because once they started running, you
Yeah.
couldn't stop them.
Well, you had to jump over and hope for the best.
Yeah, but they were like if you could manage to jump over them, they were really easy because as soon as they hit whatever they were hit, they were stunned for a little bit. And you could
Once
take
you
them
stun
out
lock
after
them,
that.
yeah, you're good to go. Yeah, they weren't too bad, but definitely harder than a regular foot soldier. I feel like, at least the standard ones. And then the end boss was Slash, which was just like I'm not sure what the whole story was with this guy, but he's just like a crazy looking prehistoric version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Kind of like they got like a ruffian from the streets or something and mutated him into humanoid turtle. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know. That's I think all the comments I have on that. I thought that 250 million years BC was interesting.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah. So the next level. Do you remember the next level?
Was it the second surfing level or was it the train?
So the next one is the pirate boat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember too much about the pirate boat.
Skull and Crossbones, A.D. 1530. So I was wondering if there's anything interesting that like why 1530, and I didn't find anything that stood out to me that happened in 1530. I didn't like span it out to like what happened the whole decade or whatever. Maybe there was something significant. What I did find somewhat interesting is that in 1530, only one of the four artists that the Turtles are based on was alive at the time.
Mm.
Do you know
one?
who it is? You want to make a guess?
15. My guess would be Donatello.
So it is not. Donatello, I got the dates of 1386 to 1466 for Donatello.
Mm.
So it was Michelangelo was the only one that was alive during 1530. Because I was thinking that maybe like one of those people was like born in 1530 or died on 1530.
Yeah.
Possibly they put out like a famous artwork, but I kind of looked at literature. I don't look at like sculptures or artwork. Actually, that's naturally I should have, of course, but
That's all right.
yeah. I still will, and then I might put like a little comment down if I find something that happened in 1530 that was relevant.
Yeah, just point above your head somewhere, and then you can add it.
Oh yeah. It'll be. I don't know. It'll be floating somewhere around me, maybe. But yeah. So, and he was 55 years old in 1530.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and then
My boy Mikey.
And then it was only 10 to 11 years since Leonardo da Vinci and Raphael had died.
Okay, cool.
So they had died respectively in 1519 and 1520. But yeah, like I said, I was just wondering if there's any significance to 1530. That's all I found essentially. And yeah, like you said, there's nothing too crazy about the level. I remember there was the little like loose floorboards that you can step on that would smash you in the face.
Oh yeah. Oh,
those were kind of annoying. Yeah.
Very annoying because you just try to like get away from an enemy and then boom, step on it.
Exactly.
And now you're stunned, and now the enemy has a lot of chances to get at you.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you know, like, there's like little markers like where they are, so at least you can avoid them once you know about them. But yeah, those were kind of annoying. And the bosses were Bebop and Rocksteady were the bosses on this one.
But they had pirate
exactly
attire on.
Oh, they were appropriately dressed for the
appropriately dressed for the times.
Yes, exactly.
They were in their
I
best
wonder,
cosplay.
I'd like to see the behind the scenes of them just like hijacking a pirate ship and just like tying up the original pirate or something. But yeah, moving on. Next is the train. You just mentioned that on the last one. Next one is the train one.
With the freaking alligators.
Yeah, and that's Leatherhead was the boss in that one.
Man.
So the name of the level was Bury My Shell at Wounded Knee. And that was AD 1885.
Bury my shell at Wounded Knee.
Yeah. So do you know the significance of what Wounded Knee is and 1885?
I've
Because it's
heard
something
of
that
it,
I
I just
heard
can't
before.
recall.
Yeah, it's something that I heard before, like the words. I never really knew what it was.
Here's my guess.
Yeah.
Here's my guess. It was a battle between Native Americans and cowboy colonials.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I know things.
Yeah. So it was United States versus the Lakota Indians.
Okay.
Now, apparently, this is related to a massacre that was, or essentially a battle. I don't know. I don't look into too many details of the specifics, but we all know more or less what happened. And that was apparently in 1890, but so this would have been 5 years before that took place. So again, I thought that was that was an obvious reference. That was a little bit simpler, right? Because of the one in the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, the Leatherhead was the boss, and this is one of the ones that has a very easy, he's very, very easy once you have his pattern, and he has a very easy pattern to learn. Like basically, he might have hit me like once or twice by accident, but otherwise, I was almost getting him no problem.
Nice.
Yeah,
I haven't played him in a while. Gotten that far in a while.
Yeah.
Just
like I said, I did. I was on Game Genie at the time, but I can still see when I'm getting hit, when whatever, right? So
right.
I did pretty good against this guy. Really, I think the Technodrome was the hardest levels. So that's all I have for that particular level. And really, all of these, the sceneries are great with this. Even in the background, there's another pirate ship floating down.
Exactly. No, for sure.
Yeah,
they had
other
cactuses
levels
and stuff in the train one.
Yeah.
They really westernized it. So.
And actually, the train one too. That's actually one we're talking about still. The Wounded Knee one. Another one where I liked how the foot soldiers came in. Some of them actually rode in on horses and then jumped onto the train.
That's right.
Yeah. So
man,
that was pretty
so
cool.
much nostalgia.
I think it was this one. There was a few of them that were dressed up as banditos or something like that, and almost like a Mexican kind of poncho kind of thing, and then just
they were
take
hiding.
It out.
They would do the very flamboyant reveal.
Yeah,
because that's what you want to do when you're trying to assassinate a Ninja Turtle. Is ha-ha! I'm here.
I do a little dance and got the piano guy in the background. They didn't actually have that, but yeah. So that was that's the Wounded Knee. So the next level, this is also an exclusive level for the Super Nintendo version. Do you know what this next level is?
Is it the second Surfer one?
Yeah, it's the second Surfer one where it's called Neon Knight Riders. But yeah, Neon Knight Riders was the next level. That took place in AD 2020. And I was going to say this doesn't look like 2020 because now we're talking 4 or 5 years ago. But in retrospect, it does kind of look like Japan, actually. So it's just futuristic, super futuristic.
Technically, that would have been at the time the future.
Yeah. Well,
and we're now talking about that level like it's still in the past.
Because this came out, because this came out in 91, 92 or whatever, right? The game. So 2020, you're talking it was almost 30 years in the future from when the game was made.
Okay, scientist, where is my surfing board that I can just go anywhere on? Huh? Where is it?
Nah, the only thing you got is the hoverboard with that battery that catches on fire all the time.
Nice. And Elon Musk's flamethrower.
Yeah. So I think this was the level where you can just literally just buzz through the level without even fighting anybody.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It was maybe the other one, but I think this is the one that you can.
But this is the one. But this is the one. It's different. It's not a side scroller. This is you're going forward, almost like you're a race, like a race car game.
Yeah, because they used that Mode 7, basically F-Zero on Super Nintendo.
Yes,
it looked like for the most part. Most of the level, I believe, actually possibly the whole level was like you said, kind of buzzing and going through the streets like that from third person, but from a 3D view, and then it did go to side view after for the boss fight, and the boss fight was Super Krang, which is basically just regular Krang, but he's got wings or something.
Yeah.
I think that's the only difference.
All right,
But yeah,
what's
it's
the
not
next?
like big Krang or anything. It's just regular size Krang.
Fair enough. So what's the
So
next level then?
the next level after that is Starbase, where no turtle has gone before. And that
Ah, a
is
clear
in
reference
AD.
to Star Trek.
Yeah, yeah. And that was in AD 2100. So
So
we got
it still could be possible.
a little bit of time left until we can verify the accuracy of the predictions there, of course. But
That's right.
I think they're on track. What I did find a bit funny about this level is, so this is also still like fairly similar to a Technodrome level.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in some kind of spaceship, or I'm not even sure if it's in a spaceship or just at a base on another planet. Because when you look at the like icon for it, or like after every level, there's like a quick cutscene where it shows like a little circle and a picture of the level, and then the
Mm-hmm.
turtle's kind of flying out of it and then flying into the new one. This one was a red planet with like a little space station kind of on the side.
Mm-hmm.
That looked like it was orbiting it. But when you do the actual level, it looks like you're just on a base, and just like the background of that planet is there. Looks kind of like maybe Mars. I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
Looks maybe a little too reddish for Mars to me, but it could be just limitations of the system. And then you have kind of like domes kind of in the background of it too. But yeah, again, nothing particularly special about that one except for the boss on this one. I thought this was one of the funny ones. Do you remember the boss on this level?
I don't.
Okay, so the
Been
boss
too
on this
long.
level. So this is Krang again.
Okay.
Except that.
Except is this the one where he flies around like in a helicopter?
It's not a helicopter. What it is he's in this like UFO looking thing.
Right, the stupid UFO thing.
And
That's so funny.
And his weapon was to shoot bubbles at you and get you like stuck in a bubble. That was that was that was the Krang bubble machine. Yeah.
I was watching a documentary about the voice actors of the original cartoon series, and the voice actor that did Krang's voice, said it in the documentary. He said basically, I just wanted to do like a crotchety, angry Jewish grandmother. and you could kind of hear like Krang.
Yeah. Oh no, Krang! I think it's like the funniest character in like the cartoon. But yeah, I thought that like Krang's bubble machine was funny to me. And sorry, I don't think I mentioned the other funny thing now. And if I did, I apologize. I'll mention it again. But right at the beginning of the level, on the wall, it says 2100 AD, because it's like, I guess in the future you just have a calendar with just the year on it on the wall.
Yeah, makes sense.
Where you need that as like a quick reference, you know what I mean? I might put up here in the background just like a picture of 2024
Yeah, that's my calendar.
AD. So I thought that was kind of weird, but not that weird, but it's kind of funny. So yeah, not too much else. Well, there was, I think, some of the oddballs. I can't remember if it was this one or the next one, but there's oddball like Technodrome stuff where like there's things that like freeze you. There's like rays that shoot at you, things like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of annoying. As we go on, I'll get into this in a little bit, but as we go on, there's different foot soldiers too. I don't have the list of all of them, but yeah.
Yeah, it's usually.
There's a couple that I wanted to. Yeah, there's a couple that I wanted to point out though. And then that leads us to the last level. So the last level is again the Technodrome. Now we're back in 1992 again. And I'm trying to think if this is only the boss battle, because this is Super Shredder now.
Yeah,
I'm almost thinking
just Shredder.
I think it might be right to Shredder, or maybe like a short part. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
And this is one of the ones that surprised me because Super Shredder is somehow extremely, extremely easy.
Yeah, he has a pretty distinct pattern.
Yeah, and it's like if you know what he does, like you don't even accidentally get hit by him.
Yeah.
Like I think they made him somehow like too easy. So like literally what he does is, again, I'm just off the top of my head here. I mean, I did play it last night, but off the top of my head, more or less, he like powers up, and you can't hit him while he's like powering up, and he's got this like force field around him. And then I think he's got a couple of different like shots or whatever that he shoots out, and then once he depletes that force field, then you can just go in and fight him, and then all he does is just jump to like another spot, and then you just got to avoid him and while he powers up again, and then once he shoots his power up, and then you can go in, hit him a few times. And like I said, like it's a really easy pattern to learn, and it's really easy to not even get hit.
Yeah, he's just one of the harder bosses because it's so long, because he's got so much health.
Yeah, and again, I did have the Game Genie at this point, because again, like since the original one. But even still, like I think I beat him pretty quickly and easily. Like once I learned the pattern, he hit me like a couple times. I don't think he would have gotten. If I played him again, he wouldn't have hit me at all. I don't think, but I don't think he would have gotten enough health off of me to beat me there. Even by the time I learned his pattern, so, and I definitely didn't remember his pattern from playing before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the game. Well, actually, just another thing on that. The background is actually the stolen Statue of Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Statue of Liberty in the background, but you can see it's like a weird background in there. So they're like still within a building. It's not just like the Statue of Liberty back in its position, basically. And that's where it all ends. Then you beat him, and he kind of falls over, topples over the the barrier or whatever, and falls. You don't see anything beyond that. And then there's a cutscene that basically tells you to beat the game on hard difficulty. That's what the real challenge is.
And that's the whole
it's
game.
One of those.
This is a fantastic game.
Yeah. I didn't replay on the hard mode. I was thinking of just like skipping over to the last level just to see what it would say differently, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm sure it's nothing. Alright, now I gotta find out. I'll check it out after. Just talking about it.
Some incredible Easter egg that nobody's ever figured out.
Yeah. So yeah, just a couple of the other notes I made, just with like the funny stuff. So one of them was it was actually the dinosaur level, the prehistoric one.
Mm-hmm.
At the very end of the level, there's like a mountain in the background, and it has Shredder's face like curved into it.
Oh, I never noticed that.
It was right at the boss fight. Yeah.
I have to take a look at that. That sounds a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like like a Shredder Mount Rushmore. It's just Shredder though. It doesn't have. It'd be funny if it also had like Bebop, Rocksteady, and Krang, like all in a row.
Goodness, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, and that was just like
one big happy
Shredder
family.
yeah. It was just the Shredder curved in there. I think over 250 million years though, it probably would have eroded by then, but maybe not. I don't know. So yeah, I thought that was a fun little reference.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of the Technodrome levels, you actually touched on this from the first level. Those balls, those like destruction balls or whatever, demolition
the wrecking balls. Yeah,
the wrecking ball. So they had these wrecking balls in the Technodrome level, but they were weird because the ones in the first level are like on chains, so it makes sense.
Yeah,
all right, there's so they're in the Technodrome level, but it's funny because first they just like bounce around and then they like go flying at you.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a ball that's like sentient or something. You know what I mean?
You bring back this podcast is bringing back so much nostalgic memory.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then that kind of also reminds me of in the arcade game, like Turtles 2. They also had like balls just like rolling down the stairs in an apartment building. Like,
they did.
What are these things? You know what I mean? Like,
who has these big steel balls?
Yeah. Well, like the wrecking ball makes sense, and it's a
the
Technodrome.
wrecking
There's
ball on us.
Yeah. But the Technodrome, there's like I said, it's like a sentient wrecking ball of some sort. There's like no chain on it. It just bounces around a couple times and just goes flying at you. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. As far as the foot soldiers, so we mentioned there's a variety of different foot soldiers. They're kind of color coded to a certain degree.
I hated the I think it was the blue ones that all they did was block. Oh my god.
Yeah. So I think they might have been purple ones or pink ones that
maybe
blocked.
purple.
But that's exactly what I wrote down. The most annoying ones are the ones that block. They had some kind of... There was a name for it. I looked up the name for it. It was some other weapon. It was like a nunchuck type weapon, I think, that they had.
Yes, something similar to that.
Those were annoying. Luckily, there wasn't that many of them, so not that bad, but... that's what I wrote down for my most annoying one. And then there was another one, I think it was yellow. if I'm not mistaken. They had these like weird like boomerang like devices.
Oh, that
that
would
they
tie
throw
you
at.
up, right?
So no, I don't think they would tie you up on this one.
No.
I don't think these ones tied you up. Because they did have it like where they grabbed you from behind, that kind of thing. I don't think they tied you up on this.
Maybe.
They're also
Can't
almost,
remember
it does sound familiar. Almost maybe somebody else might have done that. But, or you might be thinking maybe of those robots I mentioned earlier that
yeah,
like,
maybe I'm just
capture with the
confusing
electric
them with
thing,
the
maybe.
robots. Yeah.
I think these ones was, like I said, just like a weird like boomerang looking thing. It was like a fancy boomerang, not like just like a angled one. It was like this ball with like spikes on it or something. So yeah, they throw that at you and catch it. Those were kind of annoying just because they're ranged. The other guys weren't that bad. The other guys you can kind of deal with. And then trying to think here what else, while looking at my notes rather. That's actually really pretty much,
We covered the whole game. That's pretty
that's
good.
that's my main kind of like little fun facts and points that I had outlined for it. So yeah, and then you said what you played this like about a week ago or so, give or take.
Yeah,
If I
I would
heard
say
correctly.
maybe 2 weeks ago max, and
Yeah.
I got up to the the prehistoric level. Yeah, and then life gets in the way. I couldn't finish it, but yeah,
Well,
I
sure.
played.
I mean, yeah, this is the type of game that you're not intensely necessarily got to like play through the whole thing, whatever. Just kind of.
Yeah, I played.
jump
I
in,
have
do
I have a
casual.
mini projector and the mini SNES there that I have, and works great. And I can just put it up anywhere, in bed,
Yeah.
shoot it directly up into the ceiling if I want to, kind of deal.
Well, and they're generally in the dark in most cases, right? If going to bed, so I'm sure the projector works a little bit better.
Yeah, but even during the day, the projector's pretty
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen this projector. Now I kind of want to do an episode on this projector, to be honest with you. But yeah, so I think that's basically the game. We didn't really touch on the music that much, but like all the sound, we did touch on the sounds, but the music even, like the Turtles theme. I think they even had kind of like a little bit of version of the opening at the beginning of the game. I can't remember now, actually. I don't think it was all that elaborate, but there was something.
I
But
can't
all the
remember
music
any
was
of the
good.
music, to be honest.
Yeah. It's not that I remember the music specifically, but I know it was good. It was
Yeah,
like,
for sure. It wasn't
Yeah,
overpowering,
yeah.
but it wasn't like boring
exactly.
either.
Yeah. No, it was exactly what it needed to be, and especially considering this is Super Nintendo, but Super Nintendo had a good sound chip actually, so they could do good stuff with music better than other systems at the time. Let's say.
Yeah, and they had some pretty iconic writers too for music. Like, I mean, if you look at this, the video game sounds and music that you kind of like still see to this day, you still have memorable stuff like Kirby's theme, Tetris theme, Super Mario theme. Like,
Mario theme is huge. The Legend of Zelda theme. Those are like a couple of my
massive
favorites.
games,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they just had these like great music, soundtracks in them. So.
Yeah, I actually saw a video. This is a side note, of course, but I saw this quick video where somebody was playing some old like video game music, but they were playing it, I think, on like classical instruments or something along those lines. And they said it was music by like Japanese composers or whatever. And then people were coming up and asking them about like, even they were guessing, like European composers or whatever. It's like, no, this is video game music from like the 80s and 90s from Japan. And it's probably like a Zelda song or something like that.
Yeah, so good.
So it's kind of have that kind of sound to them.
The vibe, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess we've covered everything, I suppose.
I think for this game, I think we got it pretty good. Like I said, I'm actually, because I'm into like speedrunning. I don't speedrun myself, but I am fascinated by the the sport of it, I guess. And actually, I was aware of some speedrun stuff with the Turtles games, but yeah, I didn't even really research the speedrunning.
Yeah, I just saw a YouTube video about Turtles in Time, and basically there's a glitch where you can have both players play as Raph, and I don't remember how to do it, but I think it doesn't take into effect until the prehistoric level. I could be wrong.
And I'm almost thinking maybe there's a way to do it when you when a character dies, and then you can like pick a different character.
So yeah,
Maybe
it
there's
has to
some
be
trick
during
there.
the death of a character. Yeah.
Yeah. And I almost remember something like that for the arcade game too, like Turtles 2 for the NES. But it was almost like they set up the controller so it controls both characters at the same time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was something like that. And actually, I shouldn't say that. No, it was a TAS that I was thinking. So TAS is just like they program a speed run with the computer. They fine tune all the moves and button presses. And yeah, that was a TAS that I was thinking of. It was like one of the more interesting ones.
Cool.
Again, I can't remember enough of it to discuss it here, but it was something along those lines where they were using like 2 rafts or something like that. That's actually very familiar to me. So I think the only other thing I want to kind of touch on quickly, we already did a little bit, but it's the Shredder's Revenge, the new one that came out. A year or 2 ago at this point. There's a DLC for it.
Yeah.
So I've only played through it a couple times. Probably like 2 or 3 times with like 2 or 3 different friends. Basically,
maybe we should leave that more in depth on another episode because I'd like to replay it because I haven't played it in a while. So
and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah. So I mean, really, all we can say, really quickly, it's almost a direct continuation of it. It's kind of the same style of graphics, but surprisingly a lot better. A lot more detail. They really knocked it out of the park with that particular game. So. Look forward to maybe we'll try to do a live stream of that game possibly, and then a similar kind of format.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess, the future plan for the channel, for the most part.
More video games, more movies.
Whether it's
TV
movies, might
shows.
even touch on TV movies, video games, might even touch on some music here and there. Not that we've discussed it or specifically planned it. I think it's going to be leaning more towards games and movies for sure. And TV shows, like you said. So I'm looking forward to covering the Turtles movies. The Turtles cartoon show would be a fun one too, I think. And that new game.
Let's just be totally transparent. This isn't just about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All video games and movies and
I think this is just an off the cuff idea that you brought up, and I was down for it.
Nostalgia is such a huge thing.
I think it's a good start. Well, I mean, that's why I got the my Turtles blankie here.
So good.
So it's actually a very fitting. This is the only blankie that I have that's actually of like an actual like property like that. So it's actually a very fitting game to start with.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've run out of time, and we'll figure out what our next episode will be. And it looks like we ran out of time for me to explain what my hat's about. So maybe on the next episode, you guys.
We'll touch on that. We'll touch on that after. Yeah.
We'll touch on that, and and hopefully our friend Bert, who's the third person in our friend group here, maybe he will be able to. Put some.
We'll send out some invites. We'll talk to some managers. We'll try to figure something out there.
Cool.
Don't forget to tell us which turtle you are in the comments.
Yeah, that's important. Not only which turtle you identify with personally, but which one you played with as a kid.
Yeah. Or maybe we have some Splinter people out there. Maybe we have some April O'Neil people out there.
Or
maybe we have some Shredders. Maybe
Shredders. Or Casey Jones is in the house.
Oh, yeah. And Casey Jones is playable in the new game, too.
That's right, he is.
I think that's, the only thing left is for you to subscribe, leave a like.
Yeah, hit that like, share, and subscribe buttons. It really helps us out with the algorithm.
Yeah.
And see you next time.
We'll see you on the next episode.
I'm Matty.
I'm Patty.
And this is the Cozy Cast. Check you next time.